adventure today is at the St. Mary's River in southeastern British Columbia. Good friend and guide Kelly Laatsch of Columbia River Outfitters is providing the knowledge, drift boat, navigation, and energy for today's float trip. The St. Mary's is flourishing, partly due to good fish management and also because of limited access. The stretch we're on today has private land on either side and is accessible only by drifting. Floating the St. Mary's River for West Slope Cutthroat, that's today as Streamlines proudly presents Sport Fishing on the Fly. The St. Mary's River and Kelly been looking forward to this trip for a long time because we got West Slope Cutthroats here and we're going to do terrestrials today, which is a little different.
That's right. All year we've been fishing grasshoppers, actually from July until now, which is first week of October, and we've just been doing extremely good on them. So we figured this would be a great place to do our show. Fish have been averaging around 14 to 16 with a few 18-inch cuts in the mix.
And they get pretty when they get that.
They get beautiful. They are. They're really beautiful. I think. Go ahead.
There's more terrestrials though than just hoppers.
Yes, there is. We could be fishing lots of opportunities to fish some beetle patterns, some ant patterns. We could get into any even little jacids and things like that. But I find that ants and hoppers have been working exceptionally well. Okay, so you're going to show us good places to fish these types of patterns? We're going to fish the lower stretch of the St. Mary's. We're on from the Mission Bridge down to the Kootenai River. It's an excellent area, lots of big fish.
A nice little float too.
It is, wonderful float.
I love floating rivers like this. There's a lot more water this year than there normally is.
Yeah, we had some rains about 2 weeks ago and that's brought the water level up a little bit. Hasn't changed things much though. The fish and the water are pretty clear. It looks like we're going to still have a great day of fishing.
Okay, rock and roll. Can't hold it.
There he is. Oh, too much slack. Came up for it.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, plugged it. There he is. There he is. Oh yeah, good fish.
Good fish. Hang on.
Oh, right on. Well, it's easier to land them, isn't it, when we hop out of the boat?
Yeah, well, that's a nice one. Right in the top of that run, Kelly was saying, got to get in tight, got to get right on the seam. You planted one right on there, and the big guy came up.
He did, yeah. Oh,
that's
look at that.
Oh, that's a nice cutthroat.
Right
Real
on.
nice.
Yeah. Little guy came up and hit him before, and then he got off right away. I go, one last cast, and there comes, you got to get it in there, get it in there.
And the bigger guy came in.
Yeah.
Oh, nice fish. Oh, it's
oh,
a beauty.
look at this fish. Oh. Come in here.
Oh,
all right.
wow.
There you go. There is exactly what we came for today, isn't it? Look at that.
Look at the back on him. Is that a nice
took
fish?
it deep. You got your heelys there?
Yep.
Because he took it deep.
Oh yeah, he wanted it.
He sure did.
He said, "There's a hopper. I want it."
Right
like
on. Look at that.
Look at that. Oh, what a beauty.
The colors.
What a beauty.
Beautiful cut.
Nice cut.
That is a nice cut, eh?
All right. Beauty.
All right.
Let him go. Let him swim away. Look at his eyeballs. There he goes.
Oh, right on.
Nice job.
Hey, you bet.
Good
That's
work.
what we came
All
for.
right. Nice fish. I think there's a few more out there.
Oh, there's a few.
So you took me off the hopper.
I took you off the hopper.
You told me to bail. They weren't coming after it. And what'd you put on for me?
I put on a little parachute ant pattern.
Your own little special pattern.
Yes.
That was my first cast with the ant pattern.
Yes.
It works very well.
Well, it works well in this spot. I mean, if you take a good look at the water we just fished in, there's a lot of brush and timber off the edge here, and that's a good likelihood that ants and that are going to be working along the logs in there, collecting stuff, leaves, whatever that ants do. But that's where they like to hang out. And so it makes sense that fish are going to be knowing and expecting ants to be dropping into the water occasionally for them. So it makes sense that's probably something we should use. This is a wonderful fish.
Nice little Scud, 7 foot 7.3 weight, and you know, fish, that's a nice size fish.
It is.
You
It's
know,
a really nice fish.
It's a beauty, and trying to get him in on this little rod, that's a heck of a fight. It's a lot of fun. I'll let you do the guide thing. Looks like he's taking it half decent.
So what I'll do is I'll turn him upside down and
you turn them upside down so they don't panic. They kind of lose their orientation a bit and they don't go crazy.
Yeah.
There's our little ant pattern.
Comes right out.
All right, nice fish.
Put him back in the water.
How big is he, you figure?
I think he's 14.
14, yeah. 15. That's a nice, healthy fish. Look at how thick they are, too.
He's wonderful, eh?
Beautiful fish. Well, you know, earlier we were fishing hard, and Grant got the one on the nice stonefly pattern. We have a few hits on the hopper, but the hopper wasn't really producing too bad. You know, we were getting the odd fish in here, but nothing really big. And then you were saying, well, geez, I got a great little spot out here. We got lots of logs. Should be great for ant pattern.
Today in the technology, special treat. We're at Ruddock's Fly Shop in Granville Island in Vancouver, and Kathy Ruddock, owner, you agreed to come on the show and tell us a little bit about women's products. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome fly fisherman. She's on the Canadian fly fishing team, and women in fly fishing. This is something that's not new, but women seem to be getting more into it.
Yeah, I'm finding a lot more interest in ladies getting into fly fishing. They seem to really like the sport. They don't have to be in a boat. They don't have to have special gear. They don't have to use any bait or lures if they don't want to, and they can go out with a fly rod.
Put the worm on the hook, you mean?
The worm factor. They don't like the worm factor. It just really bothers a lot of the ladies.
Anybody can fly fish.
Anybody
it's a great
can fly
sport.
Fish. Great
now,
sport.
this technology segment's about products, and I know there are some made specifically for women.
There are. The companies are becoming a lot more sensitive now to the needs of ladies. They are built different than men, so some of the wader companies are doing wonderful things on the waders.
Show me some here.
Sims make a terrific wader. This is a lady's wader. It's cut a little bit differently, a little bit fuller cut through the thigh and through the hip, giving you a little bit more room, a little bit higher on the front. It's cut a little bit different around the chest area.
Right.
So those are a really nice pair of waders. The sizing on the feet is obviously a little bit smaller.
Right. Okay.
I've never had that problem. I've got big feet, but vest is another issue that's a little bit more sensitive to ladies too. You can see on this particular vest, it's cut a little bit differently on the chest area, so it fits a little bit better and the pockets are a little bit lower. This particular make is an Orvis vest, and it's quite popular.
It looks good. But when it comes down to it, I mean, you want to catch fish, you need the rod, you need the reel. Is there anything different about fly rods?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think a lot of ladies like to keep something a little bit shorter, like an 8.5 foot or a 9 foot rod, not much longer than that. I find that they can't control it quite as easily unless they're in a float tube or steelhead fishing.
You have lots of good literature. I think let's head over to your book section
I've got
here.
some great books over here.
Okay. Wow, lots of great books.
Yeah.
Excellent selection.
Yeah.
And some specific to women too.
Very much so, yeah. This is a new book out called The Woman Angler by Lori Morrow. Twist on women in fly fishing, and this one, which is probably one of the best known ones, is Real Women. Lila's very well known for this book.
Any differences between the way these books are written?
I think so. I think they're written more on context with what ladies want to read, and less intimidation factor, and just from a woman's perspective.
Right.
A lot of women like to get out there and just fish to have fun. They're not going out to conquer.
Just to catch the biggest fish.
Yeah, catch the biggest fish. They're more anxious to go out there and just be able to be competent fishermen. If they catch a fish, it's a bonus.
You've been holding casting classes here and your guiding service here too.
Schools, yeah. A lot of schools.
Have you noticed the difference in the number of women?
I used to have almost exclusively a male audience for the schools. All the students were male. So I held fly fishing classes just for ladies. And then I found over the last 4 or 5 years that a lot of ladies now are coming into the regular schools, and so I'm getting a lot of mixed classes. There's probably about a 20 to 30% attendance just in ladies, so I'm not having to do that as much anymore.
Right.
So there's less intimidation factor, I think, from the ladies.
Excellent.
They'd be afraid to come in before and put their hand up because they figure it'd be a silly question, which there is really none. So.
Right. You're also on the Canadian fly fishing team. And speaking of intimidation,
No kidding.
you were competed at the World Championships.
Yes.
How did all that go?
It went really well. Canada placed 8 out of 18 teams. We did quite well. It was very intimidating for me, especially when we first went, because being the first woman on the team and the only woman on the team, I wanted to make sure I pulled my end of the bargain, and I didn't finish in the bottom 5, so that's what I was really pleased about. We finished about 56, I think, out of 100, so I was pleased with that.
That's good. Right in the middle of the road.
Right in the middle of the road.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
We got a beautiful shop here. Looks like it has a woman's touch too, because you know we've been in shops before and there's just everything's kind of thrown around, but you got lots of neat little things here.
Yes.
If you're looking for gifts, great place to come.
Yeah.
Nicely displayed. And
we've got everything here. It's squirreled away somewhere in the place, but it's here.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was a nice little fish we just got there.
Thing is, though, is that we've taken fish on this side. Now we know we can probably catch a few more, but I also have known that from being here previously, we can probably catch a fish on the other side. But a lot of mistakes that a beginner would make is they'd want to stay right here and try and reach that far edge over there.
Right.
Well, if you take a good look at this run, you'll see that you have a slower bank of water and you have water that's moving a little bit quicker, and then it's slow against that edge. That's going to be a really tough cast to get any kind of a quality drift over it. The better position would be to move yourself over so we get down directly below that slower water.
If you can. Like
If
the
you
water's
can.
shallower here, so we can do that.
Right. And it just tells us, it brings on more of this business of making sure that you look over a hole before you fish it.
Exactly.
Think about where you're going to fish and how you're going to fish it.
Well, you just called it.
Yeah.
You just called
it. What we emphasized previously, you just got to work your way up. You know, you got to take your time and work your way up. And we just worked our way up until we finally found a spot where where we could pick a couple fish
We
up.
saw one feed right in the foam line. It had to be in the foam line. We hit it, and this guy came up, and you know what? He rose for it the first time. I missed him. I didn't sting him.
Yep.
And then he came for it again.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Oh, and he just got off. What was those barbless hooks? That was how big?
15, 16.
Oh, yes, for sure.
15, 16. Yeah.
Well, excellent.
Yeah, Don was here, and we just had one on Butte. Nice 15, 16. There he is. Did you see him feed?
Betcha.
Excellent. Here it comes. Here it comes. Watch for it. There he goes. Got him.
You bet. A little smaller guy.
Not too bad, though. That's still fun. Boy, isn't that easy?
Oh, what a blast. We're working our way up the pool, too, so it's important, again, to start at the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah, and just work your way up. There are a lot of fish in this run, and it makes it all the much more enjoyable. You can have, 10 or 15 fish run in this if you just enjoy yourself and take your time slowly working your way up.
Is he going to go down?
I don't know.
No, it's small. I think I can hold him here.
Can you hold him here?
I got a 4-weight rod. My rod's a little bit more skookum than what Don's got.
Okay.
You can pull him into you here.
Oh, he's not a little tiny cutty, though.
No, not at all. Oh, what a beauty.
He's just a pretty little 10,
right
11 incher, yeah.
Little, what kind of ant is that? Just a,
let me see.
I guess just a regular ant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just doesn't have the, what do you put on top to make the parachute when you do the parachute ant?
I'm going to let him go.
There he goes.
What I usually do is I take a little piece of Zelon or a piece of calf tail, and usually make the peacock or the parachute at the top out of that. And the actual hackle that I use is a little brown hackle. Well, you know the routine. It's your turn.
All right.
Matt had one, you had one before.
Yeah,
we're just going to take turns at seeing how many fish we can actually take out of this.
Now you can sit there and wait. All right, well, we'll see if we can get a nice cast right in that foam line.
Yeah, last time was only one cast, remember?
Well, you never know, I might get lucky. Oh, there it is! One cast! Oh, and he just got off. That doesn't count as a fish. I get one more quick substitution. Oh, is that amazing or what? And you know what? The secret is that foam line.
Put him down a little bit.
Oh, there was one. Oh, yeah, that's a nice one, right at the tail end.
Good job.
Oh,
Whoa!
now I'm out. Unbelievable. That was a nice fish.
That wasn't bad.
That was a real nice fish.
Okay.
Again.
That's okay. It's moving around in there. Give it a little pull. There it is. Nope. All right. Little pull. Boy, they're chasing it. Okay. Let's get it out of there. There he is.
There he is. He took it.
Oh, man.
Took him long enough to get hold of it, but he finally got that fly. I mean, holy cow.
That was bizarre.
Got caught in that mully water and just sucked it down, and he finally took it again.
Yep. Yeah, taking it wet. Well, that's the thing with ants. I guess they do get washed down too, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's a pretty fish. I mean, that's classic Westlope cutthroat.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see if Don can try the parachute ant now. And,
I think you'll probably get one. Not a big fish, but just smashed on that ant.
Me and Granny were busy working that hole up in there.
Well,
and
you handed me your rod.
handed the rod.
That's a dangerous thing to give me a fly rod and expect me not to catch a fish.
Oh, it's good. Sorry, same little hole.
Same run, yeah.
Same little run.
Actually, I was working that outside seam that you wanted to work in there, and you said there'd be a fish, and I said, I think Don's probably right.
That's a neat little rod, isn't it?
This is a wonderful little fly rod. That's that Scud, eh?
Three-weight.
Three-weight Scud.
Three-weight.
What a beautiful little rod.
7'7", not good for the power cast, but why don't I do the guide
Oh,
thing?
that would be wonderful. Could you do that for me?
I could.
That's a nice little cutty.
That is. Just on the lip. I don't want to touch him here. There he goes.
All right.
When fishermen talk about terrestrials, most often the fly that comes to mind is a grasshopper. Well, today on the bench, I got a great little fly that works just as well as hoppers on those warm, windy days, but can also be fished in the calm. This fly is the parachute black ant. Here's a list of ingredients you should have before starting this fly. We're going to tie the fly on a size 14 Scud Puppa hook. We're going to use some 8/0 black thread. For the body, we'll use some black Fentex yarn. Going to use a Grizzly Hackle for the parachute. And for the stem, we'll use some white calf tail. To start the fly off, I've taken a small snippet of my white calf tail, and I'm going to tie this in to form the stem, which we'll tie our Grizzly Hackle in after to form the parachute. So we'll get right up near the head of the fly and tie this in. And make sure you tie it around the base to form a nice stem. You want this stem to sit upright and nice and high, so it'll support that parachute hackle later in the fly. I'm moving my thread to the back of the hook, and I'm going to take a small piece, probably about a 3 to 4 inch piece of my black Fentex yarn, and we're going to tie it into the back of the hook to form the very back of the ant. So we'll get it tied in. We'll take the Fentex that we just tied in, and we'll wrap it forward to form the back segment of the ant. And make sure you build this segment up fairly thick, because the ants have two really distinctive thick black segment bodies to them. So we'll tie that up nice and thick and tie it off just before our parachute top. The next step to the fly is to take a small piece of Grizzly Hackle, tie it into your hook, and we'll use this to parachute around the stem of white calf tail that we tied in earlier. When you're wrapping in around the stem, do 3 or 4 turns around the white calf tail stem, just so that parachute forms really nice around there. Now the last step to the fly. Take our leftover black Fentex from the back of the fly. We'll get our hackle out of the way, and we'll build up a head with this black Fentex right near the eye of the hook. Build up a nice head on this black ant, and then tie off. And after we've tied off this black Fentex, to form the head, we'll bring our hackle back over it just to form a nice parachute ant. Well, there you have it, a little parachute black ant. I like to try different color hackles for my parachuting. I like to try the brown, the blacks, besides the grizzlies. They all seem to work well. Keep in mind though, it is a black ant. Try to keep it black when you can. I like to try different colors for the head, sometimes some red and greens to imitate fire ants. Try all the different colors out, see how they work.
Beauty, you know what we should talk about is the setup for today and what we're using.
Yes, that's right.
or maybe what you want to be using.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'll go through what I'm using today. I have a 3-weight rod, 7'7". Nice little rod. Light for the conditions though. We had a little wind earlier. Also had to make some, some 30, 40 foot casts, maybe a little longer once in a while. This rod's really nice. Nice little touch around for lighter fish, but these fish get pretty big and sometimes you need a longer cast. I myself would prefer a 4-weight with, so you get a little more punch on it.
That's what I have.
And that's what you have.
Yeah. And you can't get the punch. It's not just when you're having a rod for the size of the fish, it's also for the conditions that you're fishing in, the size of the fly that you're using and how far you have to cast.
Exactly, in the river you're fishing too. And when we came down here, you don't have to make a whole bunch of long casts, but there is the odd time when you want to make a long cast, and it sure makes it a lot better if you do have that extra little punch in the rod to get it out there.
A little bit of a flow there, doesn't look like much. There's enough to take him though.
Okay, so how far up do I want to cast?
What we're going to do is we're going to probably start up here, making a few casts up here first, then we're going to let one drift. The last time he took it right at the very bottom end. It started there. I've caught him there and caught him once at the tail end, so you kind of got to wait for him to take it.
Okay.
Right over here. First cast, nice one right over there.
Over there?
Perfect. Just let it drift.
Oh man. So I was saying, good case for catch and release. You think you've caught the same fish probably 3 times, been caught and released. So if you do it properly,
3 to 4 times, yeah.
The fish, they are going to survive, aren't
And
they?
he's a big guy. He's a very good cast down there. Right close to the log. Yeah. There it is.
Oh, it just went under.
Nope,
No,
nope.
it didn't. There. Got him. Yes. Oh, that's the best. Kelly. Yeah, right on, man. Oh, that is excellent. That's definitely a quality fish.
Did a nice job. That take was pretty difficult, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like watching paint dry, waiting for him to take that fly, but he gave himself away on the bottom end.
Yep.
And we got lucky. I thought for sure he'd left the area, but I didn't think so. He's a great big cutthroat.
Look at that. Oh, what a pretty fish.
There's that ant sitting right in the corner of the mouth.
Parachute ant, the one you tied up
Parachute
on the bench.
ant right there.
Look at that. Oh,
Isn't he beautiful?
that is an absolute gorgeous fish.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Well, what an exceptional day of fishing.
Great day.
That was excellent. A big thanks to Kelly Laatsch at Columbia River Outfitters and Peter Morrison of Osprey Adventures Kelly for guiding us and for Peter for taking our
camera
camera.
vote. Yeah, it was excellent.
Really important on a day like today, but it was great.
It was. And the real special thing, drift boats. If you've never been in a drift boat fishing, I'd advise it any day because you get the floats for the big holes, and you get to go ashore, do all the walk and wait as you saw, the great creeping up on the fish and everything else. What a blast.
Yeah, there's a lot of places, like you say, that you can fish from a drift boat that you can't from shore.
Exactly, and it just adds to the whole experience.
It was neat today doing terrestrials too.
It was.
And we could have gone to mayflies because there was a huge mayfly hatch. We thought, no, we came here to do terrestrials.
Exactly.
And we did hoppers, we did stonefly.
And ants.
Ants.
We didn't get around to the beetles.
Right.
Kelly had some nice beetle patterns. We were having so much luck on the ants, we said, no, we'll stick with the ants. We didn't have to.
If you do have beetles, you can fish them the same way as the ants, that, right near trees and all that stuff.
Exactly. Everything that falls off the trees and everything else.
Yeah, like that big guy we crept up on. That's what he would have been feeding on.
Was that classic?
Anything.
Wow.
That was excellent. Anyway, this is a great place to come. Give Kelly a call. He'll give you one of the best guided trips you're ever going to have here in the St. Mary's River. But when you get here, take care.
And conserve our waters. Again, you get a great fishery like this one here. Super.
Special. See you next time.
When we take you sport fishing on the fly.
Yeah.
I think there's more fish out there though.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get you to put one right over here then.
Looking the other way, and that's a nice one.
Fish. There you go.
Oh man. Just when you told me to put it on you.
Would I straight you wrong and give you to tell you not to have the Turks in there? Man, I'll tell you, it's very
Oh, you told me to put it in there. And then you told me to cast the other side. I'm just getting ready to cast over, and then our camera boat says, hey, you got a fish on.